Hey all, hopefully having a wicked one wherever you are today. Today we're jumping into the album breakdown of Hypersphere, which is, well, I guess one of my favourite tracks on the album from the Devine King Project. By the way, we're going to be jumping into and watching this today together. If you don't have all of the tab and notation for this entire album, you can just grab it free at scottsalbumbonus.com. Just go to scottsalbumbonus.com. You'll be able to grab it free there. See all of the stuff I was playing, and we're going to be listening to this humongous solo that I played today. And I'm sure that you're going to want to be able to see what's going on. So just go to scottsalbumbonus.com. You can check it out there. Now, with Hypersphere, when I went into doing this, I think it was a little intimidating because it's definitely what would be, called a bass feature. It's definitely one of those kind of tracks, right? It starts off with this whopping great big bass solo. I guess it's, if I know that like a lot of you have loved Glass Ceiling as well, which has that bass intro. But there I'm playing, there's a lot of melody, like I am improvising a little bit, but there's a lot of melody as well. I'm playing the melody and then improvising around the melody. Whereas Hypersphere, it's just sort of like a straight out solo. It's just like improv. So, and going into it, I really wanted to do a great job of telling a story with the solo and making sure that, like, if I think about who, from a soloistic perspective, yes, there are people like Scully Ferrison, Matt Garrison, Gary Willis. There are those individuals that have inspired me on bass, but going further than that, there are also improvisers like Chris Potter, for instance, the saxophone player, who is maybe, in my opinion, maybe the best improviser on the planet. And I wanted to kind of, when I think about what improvisation for me is, or what I really love in listening to other improvisers, it's what Chris Potter seems to be able to do just above and beyond anybody else that I've ever heard, just to extreme measures, is he just takes this tiny seed of an idea, this phrase, and he'll just sort of like pull this throughout the entire piece, and tell a whole story off the back of this one little idea that he started out with. And I'm just, and I find that so inspiring. So going into, playing this solo that you'll see in just 1 second, and then we'll break it down, I really wanted to draw on the inspiration of those characters, Chris Potter, but also, Scully Ferrison, Gary Willis, and all of these, bass guys as well. So, I don't know, I think I did a pretty good job. I was really pleased with this track. I was pleased with the bass tone. I was pleased with the solo. And also, just to put it out there, that David Binney's solo, when I play my solo, his solo, it is mind-blowing. His solo on this is maybe my favourite solo on the entire album. He does that thing. He takes this tiny seed of an idea, and he expands on it and expands on it, and it's just such a beautiful improvisation. Anyway, with that said, let's jump into the full recording now, so you can see myself doing the solo, Dave doing the solo, and then Scott Kinsey does a solo to take us out as well. Let's jump into that, and then we'll do the breakdown. Here we go. Okay, so now let's jump into the chord sequence. I'm just going to speak through the chord sequence just so you know what's going on and what I was playing over here. And again, if you want to grab the lead sheet and all of the tab and notation, just go to scottsalbumbonus.com. You'll be able to get it all there, okay? Now, it starts out, it's in B-flat minor. Starts out, you've got a couple of bars of B-flat minor, then goes to G-flat major, then we've got an A-flat sus, then D flat major, and then back to B flat minor. So it's, you know, there's not a crazy amount of stuff going on here. And each of these chords that I just spoke through there, B flat minor, G flat major 7, A flat, D flat major, B flat minor 7, they're happening for at least a couple of bars, right? At least a couple of bars. So for the most part, I was not thinking key centers or anything like that. I was actually, said B flat minor 7, okay, I'm going to play some B flat minor 7 over there. Said G flat major 7, okay, I'm going to play some G flat major 7 over there. A flat, and similar as it goes through. Now, that's not to say that I don't use substitutions over those chords. I absolutely do. I'm just saying that it's a very different situation to when you've got, like, 2 beats per chord. That's different. You're going to have to look at and think about that in a different way. But here we've got these, really nice chords. They're extended for a couple of bars at least, and then sometimes you even get four bars of one chord, which is really fantastic because you can do what you want with it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump into the solo and we'll listen through, and I'll point out some various things that are going on. Okay, so here we go. Oh, that is not what I'm looking for. Here we go. There we go. So even there, I wanted to kind of, I wanted to sort of like fade into the solo, so there wasn't any sort of like definitive like it doesn't really start, and that's very intentional. It's sort of like I wanted to kind of just like leak into it. And again, all of that was like it feels like it's really linked up. I could sing it, for instance, and that for me is the sign of a great solo. Now, here we're on B flat minor here, but I actually use a B flat melodic minor. As I go down here, you'll hear this. There's a little bit of tension in there in the line, and that's because I'm using a major 7 over the minor 7 chord. Check it out. Here we go. And again, this is all singable, and you can hear how all of these phrases are linked up as well. Again, I didn't want to just shred on this thing. And yes, there is shreddy bits in there, but they're really used as a conduit between two different phrases. I'm playing a phrase, and then if I am shredding, it's to get me somewhere else. I'm using that as a vehicle to move me to a different part of the solo or a different chord. This is just all G minor. Also, something to point out here as well is how delicate I'm playing, especially in those fast runs. Something when you listen to somebody like Gary Willis, for instance, you'll hear him play a fast run, then you'll try and emulate it, right? And for the most part, you'll fail. Now, because of two reasons, right? Number one, well, firstly, you're not Gary Willis and neither am I. But secondly is because Gary Willis plays extremely lightly. So he gives him the ability to play these super fast lines that you just cannot do if you're kind of like digging in. Now, I do actually play quite hard, but I intentionally played very, very lightly and delicately on this entire solo, and especially on the fast runs. On the fast runs, I'm really, really not digging in at all. At all. Seriously. It'd probably surprise you how little I'm actually digging in. On there. Here we go. Now that's a great example. Is going da-da-da-dee-da, and then you've got this run, and then you go da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da. That's what I mean by about taking, one phrase, and then you're going to link that. You're going to play something very similar again, but you're going to, in between that, you're going to sandwich this cool little lick to get you. Well, not a little lick, but like this sort of like an improvisation, fast burning line, or whatever it is, to get you there. Let me just show you that again. Here we go. Phrase 1. Fast bit. Phrase 2. Okay, so what I mean here is when you're linking these phrases, you don't need to have them right next to each other. You can play something, then you can have, a little bit of burning, right? Then you can play a related phrase to what you've just played earlier. Now this is changing tonality here. Again, that's all played very lightly, very lightly. Here we go again. Hear how those two phrases were joined up there? That ba-dee-da-da-da. Now listen, it's going to happen again. Ba-da-da. It's going to happen again. See, there it is again. So I'm linking up the phrases, but they're not sat right next to each other. Phrase 1 there. Phrase 2. And then this hobbit's just all linked up. And then I'm thinking, okay, I need to get out. Let's go back down. Again, right, so check this out. When you're doing a solo, be very intentional, or at least think about how you're going to get out of the solo. So you'll hear me, I'm right up on the top of the G string. I don't want to just stop and then jump back to the, down on the E or the B string. I'm right at the top of the G. So I need to work my way down. You can hear that happen in real time. I'm trying to get back down. Check it out. Here we go. Ooh. Now, right at the beginning of the sax solo, I played this really cool thing. It was really unintentional. If I'd thought about it, I might not have gone for it because I could have completely messed it up. But Binney starts playing, and then somewhere within after his first phrase or something, I just played this sort of really long line, and just to let you know, it was so funny that after I played that long, because I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm playing, and I just sort of it's this whatever G minor. Let me just I'll tell you what the chord was. It's like G minor, so it's a G minor, right? And then he plays a phrase, and then I play this long line, and I definitely wasn't expecting it, and that's just the way it happens sometimes. Sometimes you're not thinking this stuff through all of the time. Sometimes you will just play something, you're like, oh, you almost surprise yourself. This was definitely one of those moments. But I can remember getting to the bottom of the line, thinking, if I'd thought about that too much, I definitely wouldn't have done it, because it might have totally screwed it up. So I was like super happy that I didn't. Check it out. Here it comes. Now, I was like, whoa. I'm glad I did that. It sounds great. Now, listen to Binney's solo. Come on, it's just glorious. Now, remember what I was saying about taking these phrases and joining them up, just taking that seed. You'll hear Binney doing this all the way through. Check it out. Here we go. Next phrase. I need to work out what that lick was that I played there. So check this out. I'm so sorry to cut him off. It will be interesting as an exercise. Listen to his solo, right? And just hear if you can imagine what the next line is going to be. Just imagine what it would be. And I'll tell you what, it might be very similar to what he plays. And that's how good he is. That he can just, so good. Oh, I love that. And again! Is he going to play it again? No, again. Oh. This becomes the new idea. Down in the basement. Oh. I love this bit. Just one note. Kinsey comes in. Oh. So good. I don't think we had the end sorted on this at all. This was maybe the first take. Maybe the second. I can remember thinking we don't have an end. I can remember thinking, we've not discussed what happens at the end. And you'll hear that. You can hear us kind of just sort of like stop on one chord. On the chart that I'm looking at, it just says fade. Meaning like we'll fade it on the album, but obviously we didn't fade it on the album. So this is it. We have no clue. Nobody knows what's going to happen now. Oh. We got there in the end. Love loved it. Loved playing that. Just listening to it again, I think it's maybe my favourite one on the album, just in terms of like what does it really for me. Just there's so many, just great improvisations from everybody, but there's just like so much space as well. And I love it. I love space within improvising, but also musically, I find that I'm drawn to music that has a lot of space in it, which, you know, it's kind of funny because we've just done this like mad ass fusion album, right, with not a lot of space in it, but there are definitely moments where there is a lot of space, and this was definitely one of them. Again, my favorite moment from that was David Binney's solo. It's just fantastic. It's just a real masterclass in improvising and taking, a seed of an idea and dragging it throughout these solos. It's just so beautiful. Anyway, if you wanted to check out what I was playing on there in detail, you can grab all of the tab and notation for free over at scottsalbumbonus.com. So definitely go there. And remember, I'm also, we've created an entire course teaching you guys all of this stuff. So I'm sat there with the bass and I'm playing the lines, and I'm sure all of that. You also get to be me in the band. So we got all of the recordings, removed the bass as well, so you can be me in the band and play all of these tracks. And all you need to do that, to grab all of that stuff, is go to the membership. If you're already a member, obviously you've got access to it already, but if you're not, just go to scottsbasslessons.com, grab your 14-day free trial. You'll have access to that course, but also you'll have access to over 100 other courses as well, along with all of the amazing membership features that we've got as well. So go check it out over at scottsbasslessons.com, and if you haven't grabbed the free ebook yet, go to scottsalbumbonus.com. Thank you again. Take it easy. Bye.